Everyone at the anniversary banquet could feel the tension before they even saw it. The hall glittered with crystal chandeliers, gold-trimmed decor, and perfectly dressed guests, the kind of event where every smile was polished, every whisper sharp. And there, standing quietly near a floral centerpiece, was Amelia. She wore a soft, pastel dress, simple, elegant, understated. She had always been that way. Someone who didn't need to demand attention to be noticed. But tonight, attention found her anyway. Across the room, Daniel entered with Vanessa on his arm. Vanessa, with her fire-red dress, high heels clicking like a countdown to chaos, and a smirk that announced trouble. Everyone turned, everyone murmured, everyone saw. Amelia's breath tightened. She had begged Daniel not to bring the mistress to a family celebration, especially when she knew how his mother, Margaret, felt about such disrespect. But Daniel had waved her off with his usual dismissiveness. "It'll be fine, Amelia. Don't make a big deal." "Not a big deal." Vanessa strutted like she owned the building. She spotted Amelia almost instantly and headed toward her with an exaggerated sway of her hips. Daniel followed lazily, not even trying to hide the fact that he was enjoying the attention Vanessa drew. Well, Vanessa said loudly, pausing in front of Amelia. "You wore that. Sweetheart, this is a high-class event, not whatever corner shop you found that dress in." A few nearby guests covered their smiles. Amelia felt heat rush to her cheeks, but she stayed still, fingers tightening around her small clutch. She refused to give Vanessa the satisfaction of a reaction. Daniel sighed as if he were tired of being associated with embarrassment. "Amelia, really?" he said, shaking his head. "You could have put in more effort." Vanessa laughed softly. "She's trying her best, darling. Not everyone can be glamorous." She leaned close as if sharing a secret. "Some women just aren't built for high society." Amelia swallowed hard. Words trembled at the edge of her tongue, but she held them back. She wasn't here for vanity or a victory. She had come because Margaret insisted. The older woman had said there was something important Amelia needed to be present for, something she deserved to witness. Amelia didn't understand, but she trusted her mother-in-law more than she trusted her own husband. And then the moment came. Vanessa flicked her wrist casually to be innocent, and her champagne glass tipped forward, spilling cold liquid all over Amelia's dress. Gasps erupted. Amelia froze. Daniel snapped instantly. "Why are you always causing scenes?" Amelia's heart dropped. Then Margaret's chair scraped sharply across the marble floor as she stood, her voice slicing through the air. "Enough." The room fell into an uneasy silence as Margaret's single word echoed across the hall. Vanessa straightened, rolling her shoulders back as if preparing for a verbal duel she believed she would easily win. Daniel looked irritated, embarrassed even, glancing between his mother and his wife like he wished everyone would simply pretend nothing had happened. Vanessa put a hand on her hip. "I'm just helping her realize her limits," she said with an overly sweet voice that dripped with poison. "Some women simply don't fit into refined circles. It's not their fault, really." Amelia lowered her eyes, feeling every stab prick at her skin like needles. She wanted to step away, clean herself up, fade into the background. But as he moved, Margaret stepped firmly in front of her. "You will not move," Margaret whispered sternly. Then, louder for everyone to hear, "because the woman you're bullying is the only reason any of us are standing in this hall tonight." A ripple of gasps shot through the room. A few guests leaned closer, shocked into attention. Daniel frowned deeply. "Mom, what are you talking about?" Margaret turned toward him slowly with a look that held years of disappointment. "Your father, God rest his soul, left the company shares to me, yes. At the rest, everything that gives this family its power, its name, its wealth, he left to Amelia." Daniel blinked. "The rest? What? What does that even mean?" She took a small breath, her expression sharp. "The family estate, the event venues, the rental properties, the art collection, the controlling interests in our subsidiaries, the liquid assets, all of it." Gasps erupted again, louder. Someone muttered, "That's millions." Another whispered, "No, that's hundreds of millions." Vanessa's eyes widened as though she had just seen a ghost. "Wait, you mean she owns this state? The businesses, the venues, this entire event we're standing in?" Margaret nodded with calm finality. Every inch of it, down to the chandeliers you pretend to admire. Vanessa's face drained of color. Her confident stance wavered, replaced by a tremor of disbelief. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Daniel looked stunned, almost desperate. Why would Dad leave all that to her and not me? Margaret's reply hit the room like thunder. Because while you were chasing thrills and vanity, Amelia was the one who cared for your father during his final year. She handled his meetings, protected his interests, and made decisions that saved our companies from collapse. He trusted her more than he ever trusted you. There it was, a truth everyone had overlooked. The quiet wife they dismissed had been the backbone of the empire. And now the entire ring saw her differently. Respectfully. Shockingly. Fearfully. Vanessa's lips parted, but all that came out was a shaky breath. Her earlier arrogance had evaporated, leaving behind only panic. She reached out as if hoping to touch Amelia's arm, to reclaim some sort of connection. Amelia, I didn't know. If I had known. Amelia lifted her head slowly, her eyes no longer timid or apologetic. They were calm, clear, steady, the eyes of someone who had finally recognized her own worth. You didn't need to know what I own, she said softly. You only needed to know how to treat another woman with basic respect. A murmur of agreement moved through the guests. People who just moments ago giggled at Vanessa's cruelty now stood straighter, suddenly ashamed. Daniel stepped forward, visibly rattled. He looked smaller now, diminished under the weight of the truth. Amelia, why didn't you ever tell me? His voice cracked, exposing a tremor he had never let anyone hear before. Amelia gave him a tired, gentle smile, the kind someone wears when they finally set down a heavy burden. Because I wanted love, Daniel, she said. Not the kind that clings to wealth or power. I wanted a partner, not someone who would treat me like a placeholder while he admired the next shiny destruction. Daniel swallowed hard. I can change. We can fix this. Margaret stepped between them sharply. No, she said. You don't get to speak over her anymore. Daniel stiffened, stunned into silence. Margaret turned to Amelia, her expression uncharacteristically soft. My dear, you will know an explanation. You've endured more than enough. You have the power to decide what your life looks like from now on without guilt, without permission. The words felt like a door unlocking inside Amelia. For the first time in years, she breathed without the weight of pleasing everyone else. Vanessa, now trembling, backed away. The realization that she had mocked, insulted, and humiliated the woman who owned everything, the woman she thought insignificant, hit her like a tidal wave. She tried to hide behind the crowd, but no one stepped aside for her anymore. Daniel attempted to reach for Amelia's hand, desperation creeping into his voice. Amelia, please, but she stepped back, gracefully, firmly, finally in control. This will be the last event I attend as your wife, she said, her voice steady enough to still the entire hall. I spent yours shrinking so others could shine. I won't do it again. The hall erupted in whispers, gasps, shock. And then Amelia turned, lifting her chin, and walked out with quiet dignity. Everyone watched as the woman they underestimated, ignored, and pitied, left the room as the most powerful person in it.